My goodness, dude, the Maple Leafs did it again. Last year, they took a huge reach on Easton Cowan, a pick that a lot of people at the time were pretty so-so about. I was one of those people. I was like, okay, wait, why'd they take this guy? They could have just traded down to get him. They're taking him a little bit too high up there, and then Easton Cowan blew everybody's socks off in the OHL, and that pick, which was seen as a big reach, is now looking like a fantastic pick. Well, we're doing the same old song and dance in 2024 because with the 31st overall pick, the Toronto Maple Leafs selected Ben Danford. A guy, if you go over to his projection, was supposed to be taken around the 3rd round? I mean, Craig Button had him at 78th overall. Bob McKenzie had him at 54. Tony Ferrari of the Hockey News at 61. There were some outlets that were really low on this guy. Future Considerations list had Ben Danford as the 91st overall projected prospect. His consolidated ranking, the average of all of these, was 54. So at the end of the 2nd round was his main projection here. Ben Danford is a 6'1", 190 right-handed defenseman taken out of the Oshawa Generals in the OHL that the Toronto Maple Leafs seem to like very much. He thinks the game in a more advanced way than most. He knows how to defend in zone and how to move the puck up the ice, and he always plays the position physically. He closes his gap before the blue line, pressures the opposition all over the zone, and shows a lot of poise on retrieval, spinning off forecheckers and attracting them before passing. This is a lot more of a defensively minded, two-way defenseman rather than an offensive dynamo. He had 33 points in 64 games played, and while it's awesome to see a young kid from Madoc, Ontario get drafted by his hometown Toronto Maple Leafs, it is kinda, interesting when you acknowledge some names that were still on the board, maybe other guys that had higher offensive ceilings, guys who could produce more points. But if the Toronto Maple Leafs think this is their best guy at number 31, then hey, all the power to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They took him, he is their guy now, and this is the prospect that they're going to put their eggs into the basket with. They did this with Easton Cowan last year, it paid off, so who knows if the same thing is in store here for Ben Danford. By this time next year, if he pops off and absolutely goes to town offensively in the OHL, we could be looking at this pick as a pretty good one. We're doing the same thing with the Easton Cowan pick from last year. But the Elite Prospects player type mold says that he's a lot more of a defensive defenseman and a mobile defenseman. In fact, on the Elite Prospects ringside draft guide that they have, it actually says here that Ben Danford's projectable comparison is Brett Kulak, which is, I don't know, maybe not the kind of guy that you want to draft in the 1st round of an NHL draft, but it's still a fairly solid NHL player. At the end of the day, though, Ben Danford can play the body well, he can position himself well, he passes the puck and moves it up ice pretty well, and he can shove guys around, which is pretty good too. But if the Toronto Maple Leafs really value just defensive stability, a guy who's not going to make the most money, the guy who's not going to get the most points, but who can be a reliable presence in your middle 4 pairings, then this is a pretty good option here. So Ben Danford is your newest Toronto Maple Leafs prospect. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the latest Oshawa Generals defensemen to have gotten drafted. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.